a really long number into a much shorter way. So today I'm not really going to be teaching you that because you hopefully already watched the video and know how to do that, but I am going to go over a couple details with you. Okay, so scientific notation is always going to be some number, a decimal, everything after it, times 10 to the something power. That's the format of scientific notation. So for example, I can have like 7.9 times 10 to the 2, or 1.865 times 10 to the negative 5, or I don't know, 9.000000001 times 10 to the negative 30th, whatever. This is all written in scientific notation because you have a number, a decimal, everything after it, times 10 to the something power. A number, a decimal, something after it, times 10 to the something power. So this is all considered scientific notation. This would not be considered scientific notation if I had like 17.9 times 10 to the 2. Can someone unmute themselves and just shout out, why is this not written in scientific notation? Thank you. There's 2 whole numbers before your decimal. The rule is there can only be 1 whole number and then the decimal. So it's not 17.9. It has to say 1.79. The decimal always has to be after the first number. Okay, one more then. Why is this one not in scientific notation? What if I had like 1.865 times 3 to the negative 5th? Why is this one not considered scientific notation? Close, close, but no cigar. Because it's times 3, right? Remember, scientific notation is always times 10 to the something, times 10 to the something, times 10 to the something. So if it doesn't say times 10 to the something, it is not considered scientific notation. Good job. Okay, so that's the difference between not written in scientific notation and yes, it is written in scientific notation. Okay, moving on then. This you do not need to solve, but I want to just ask you and see if maybe you can just use common sense, logic, whatever you can use to get the answer. Okay. What if I were to ask you which number is the greatest? And by greatest, I mean the biggest, right? Which one is the biggest number? So here are your answer choices. You have 7.2 times 10 to the negative 4th, or 2.98 times 10 to the negative 6th, or 6.1359 times 10 to the 7th, or 1 times 10 to the 20th power. Okay, here are my 4 answer choices. It's a multiple choice question. Which number here would give me the biggest number, basically? Don't solve it. Just look at it and see if you can figure it out. Yes, D as in dog. Whoever said that, because I can't see your face right now. Good job. Okay, so whoever said that, you got to answer one more question. Why? Why is this one the biggest one? Exactly. Yeah. Yes, it's a lot of zeros. So some kids are like, no, this one's the biggest because it's 7, right? This one's the smallest because it's 1. No, that has nothing to do with it. Look at just the exponents. Doesn't negative 4 mean that you're moving backwards 4 times? So your answer is going to be like 0.000 something. Negative 6 means it's going to be 0.000000 something. But if you move it over to the right, 7, then you're going to have a whole number, not a decimal with 7 zeros maybe, or something like that. But like this one, you're going to have like 20 zeros. Sorry, my email. You're going to have like 20 zeros because it's to the 20th power. So do you see how you didn't even have to do any work? Just look at the exponent. 20th power means that you're moving it over 20 times. So you have a ton of zeros, right? So that's how you can tell if something's big or small, or the biggest or the smallest. Okay, so on that note, can someone different tell us which letter is the smallest number? B, you guys are so good. I love you guys. Seriously, such a great class. Thank you for being so wonderful. B, okay, so whoever said that, because I don't know who said that, can you tell us why B is the answer? Yes, ma'am. So basically, you're just looking at the exponents. -6 is smaller than -4. This is the smallest exponent, which is going to give you the smallest number, right? Isn't like 0.00001 bigger than more zeros and then a 1? That's how you know that the I guess the smaller exponent, the smallest exponent gives you the smallest number. The biggest exponent gives you the biggest number. Good job. Okay. This is where you need your calculator. So go grab your calculators right now if you haven't done so yet. Okay, we're going to do this together. And I don't want you to be confused. Okay, so what if I had the question this? 3.9 times 10 to the -2 times 1.7 times 10 to the -4th. Holy moly, I don't know. I mean, that just seems like a mess of numbers. How do I know that answer? Well, guys, the great thing in 8th grade math is you know how to do this now because you have a calculator. So turn on your calculators. Okay, I need you to know how to type this in, because if you don't know how to type it in, then obviously, I mean, you can't do anything. Okay, there's no way that you can do this problem. Okay, so first of all, type it in exactly as you see it. So the first thing you see are parentheses. Guys, the parentheses are right above the 8 and the 9. So you do the left parentheses, which is right above the 8. Now type in 3.9. The decimal is at the very bottom row, times 10 to the button is right here. It's right on the right side. It's underneath the clear. It kind of looks like an up arrow just without the stick. So so now do you see how your little cursor is going up high? -2. Guys, -2, negative is right here. It's at the very bottom. It's in parentheses next to the enter. Please don't write minus. If you write -2 power, it's going to say error. You have to write negative, which is down here. Okay, so to the -2 power, well, hold on, don't do parentheses yet, because look, if I do parentheses, then it's teeny tiny up on top. So I'm going to arrow back and hit delete. Now, to get out of the top section, press the right cursor, the right arrow, and then you hit your parentheses. So that's the first part of my problem, 3.9 times 10 to the -2. Now let's do the next one. Parentheses, 1.7 times 10 to the is right underneath the clear. Negative is on the bottom. Don't do minus, it's negative. And then 4. Right arrow, and then hit your parentheses. So now that my calculator screen looks exactly like the problem on the paper, I can hit enter, and that's my answer. Oh, that looks really weird. Okay, let me copy it down first. So my answer, it says, is 6.63 E -06. What does that even mean? Because that's not an answer. This really means it's 6.63 times 10 to the, E just stands for times 10 to the -06 is just 6. So times 10 to the -6. Maybe I should write it up there. There, that's my answer. 6.63 times 10 to the -6. Or if you really wanted to work it out, you have 6.63, move it backward 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Add zeros in between. So it's 0.0000663. And that's it. Either answer will take. Okay? So that's how you do this problem. Okay, just type it in your calculator exactly as you see it. The E stands for times 10 to the, and then either write it in scientific notation or write it all the way out. I guess it just really depends on how, your answer choice, A, B, C, D, is written out. Okay, so let's do one slightly more complicated then. Okay, let's say I have a division problem now. So let's say my problem is 6.2 times 10 to the 6 all over 1.1 times 10 to the 2. Okay, so I'm going to clear my screen. I don't know this answer. So what you can do is just type it in your calculator, and that's fine. Okay, so first thing is, you notice this looks like a big fraction problem because you have a top and a bottom. So fraction, does anyone remember what buttons do I have to press to get a fraction on my calculator? Thank you. Alpha is on the very left column. Mine is green. Yours might be a different color, but alpha. And then y equals is the very top left. So y equals. So you see frac, and then you go enter. Okay, so now you have a top to type and a bottom to type. So the top says 6.2 times 10 to the 6th power. So I just type the top. Okay, I'm going to arrow down to the denominator, the bottom, and I'm going to type 1.1 times 10 to the 2nd power. So I'm just typing it in exactly as I see it on my paper. And then I'm going to hit enter, and oh, that's a big random number. Okay, let's write it down and then let's talk about it. So that equals 56363.63 repeated. So just 0.6363636363. So that might be your answer choice, A, B, C, D. Or remember, you can write it in scientific notation. Scientific notation would be the first number, 5, and then a decimal, and then everything you see after that, 636363 times 10 to the something. Well, 5.63, here's your decimal, 5.63. Let's count how many spaces you need to get to your original decimal. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's times 10 to the 4th power. So either one is fine. Any questions so far? Okay. Last question I have for you. It sounds really complicated, but it's not, okay? Let's say here's your question, because you're going to see something like this on your quiz tomorrow. I fly 1.7 times 10 to the 2 miles per hour. How many miles do I fly in 7.18 times 10 to the 6 hours? I don't know. That just sounds really confusing. So what I'm going to do instead is I recopied this whole problem, but instead of writing like really weird numbers, I'm just going to write small numbers like I fly 2 miles per hour. How many miles do I fly in 3 hours? I think with easier numbers, this is now just an elementary school problem. You fly 2 miles every hour. How many miles do you fly total in 3 hours? Can anyone shout out, what do I have to do to these two numbers? Exactly, just multiply. So if I made up random numbers and I know I have to multiply them, then I can just multiply these two, right? Because it's literally the same problem, it's the same wording, I just changed the numbers. So maybe if you want to change the numbers to make it make sense, then you know what to do. So like for this one, I would say, okay, parentheses, 1.7 times 10 to the second, oop, darn it, delete, second power, darn it, delete. There we go. Second power times 7.18 times 10 to the 6th power. And boom, that's my answer. It's a ton of miles, but I can always change that to scientific notation as well. 1.2206 times 10 to the something power. Okay. So my point being, you don't have to just try to struggle. I mean, you can change the numbers, make it make more sense, and then maybe